This is CBN NewsWatch.
I'm Ephraim Graham. It is Tuesday, Election Day, November 3rd, 2020. Thank you so much for turning to CBN News. America reaches the finish line in the long, bitter presidential campaign. Voters are now casting ballots in the only poll that matters. And nearly 100 million have actually already exercised their right in early voting. With record-breaking early turnout, all eyes are looking to see how many people vote across the country today. But the big question is, how long will the country have to wait to learn the official results? Heather Sells begins our Election Day coverage.
Across the country, voters are making their voices heard in the 2020 presidential election. But as voting ends today, the winner may not be known for days. In the final hours of the campaign, a confident President Trump made his case for re-election, blitzing North Carolina, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania with huge, enthusiastic crowds.
This does not look like a second-place finish.
The Biden campaign spreading out across Ohio and Pennsylvania in the final hours.
We're going to win Pennsylvania, and we're going to show the world what America stands for.
Former President Obama campaigning for his former vice president in Georgia in hopes of turning it blue. With more than 100 million ballots cast before Election Day, Dr. Michael McDonald of the University of Florida says record-breaking turnout is expected.
We're over twice the number of people who voted early than in 2016. I'm thinking that we're going to have about 160 million people vote in the election. That'd be a turnout rate of 67%, a turnout rate that we haven't seen since 1900.
McDonald told CBN News that while early votes may favor Biden, Trump could still win.
That early vote is looking very good for Biden. So when we get those first numbers in, just take a big, deep breath, because that does not mean that Biden has won. We're going to have to see that Election Day vote. That could shift it back towards Trump.
Evangelicals who overwhelmingly support President Trump have also been sought by the Biden camp. Dr. Ed Stetzer of the Billy Graham Center at Wheaton College says Biden's appeal to evangelicals is a huge shift from 2016.
Hillary Clinton seemed to work hard to alienate evangelicals rather than try to engage them, where the Biden campaign, Josh Dixon is their faith leader advisor, has really tried to engage evangelicals. White evangelicals have a very strong affinity with this president, but they have engaged.
Pointing out issues driving evangelicals in this election.
The economic issues or foreign policy. And then you get other issues like the Supreme Court certainly plays into that as well. Concerns about religious liberty, issues about the concern about the unborn.
As one of the most contentious elections comes to a close, President Trump insists the winner should be declared on election night. But McDonald says it could take days to determine a winner.
We may know something about what's happened and who the next president-elect will be with those fast-counting states like Florida, if it's decisive enough. It comes down to some other states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. Election officials there are saying it could take 3 to 4 days for them to process them all, and we wouldn't get the election results from those states until maybe Friday of this week.
Both campaigns are readying for a legal fight, with teams of lawyers ready to file challenges in crucial states. Meanwhile, in anticipation of protests after the election, barriers have been put up around the perimeter of the White House. All reasons why Stetzer says that after the election, the church should take the lead in healing a divided America.
I hope we'll remember that Jesus is not coming back riding a donkey or an elephant, and we need to unite the church, build these bridges, get back on mission, show and share the love of Jesus to a broken and hurting world.
Heather Sells, CBN News.
And our senior editor, John Waggy, is here right now to talk more about this election. So those of us watching in the evening trying to get some idea of how things are unfolding, what stage election results should we be looking at?
Well, from the early states to watch are probably North Carolina and to some extent Florida, because the Panhandle doesn't close till 8 o'clock. But I would say North Carolina. I'm going to be watching Virginia as well, not because anybody's picking Trump to win Virginia, but I'll be watching it to see if it's close. Maybe watching some of those early House races where it could flip. But I would say Ohio will be, I believe, 7:30 Eastern time, so that Ohio is another one. And the other states will follow shortly after that, almost by a half-hour basis. So.
Of course, we know the top of the ticket is the president, but what are some of the other key races we should be paying attention to?
Well, I think, President Trump doesn't go very far if he wins, and Joe Biden would have a lot more thrust if he were to take the Senate back and keep the House. So the House races and the Senate races are obviously very important this time. Polls showing that Republicans have so many more seats to defend that the Democrats might be favored to win the Senate. I think Republicans are going to hold on because of a Trump factor. And the House, most pundits are saying that Democrats will take the House or keep the House, or even gain some seats. And I think Republicans may take it over. But it's all going to be, the counting into the wee hours beyond the time that even will be up, probably. So.
Yes, indeed. Speaking of that, how long do you think it'll be before we actually know who the president is?
My gut feeling is we'll have a good feeling by the end of the evening tonight, but that doesn't mean that all the I's will be dotted and the T's will be crossed. And no matter what, Ephraim, there's going to be a huge legal battle. And there's one report out that if the exit polls show favorable for Joe Biden, he might try and call it early. Who knows? A lot of rumor floating around now, but the legal teams are in place and they're ready to do battle.
Before we let you go, I know that you've traveled the country on the road to be here. What are your predictions in terms of the presidential race? Do you think Trump will keep the office? What's going to happen?
I believe President Trump's going to win re-election, and it may not even be as close as the polls have been saying. Right now, a lot of the polls still show Joe Biden winning enough of those upper Midwest states to get to 270. I think President Trump's going to do it, and I think that this evidence is the huge crowds in the closing days, and I think that's evocative of the support he has of people get in the polls and stand there for 5 hours today. They have to.
All right. Thank you, John Waggy. All the best. Long day and night for you, for
Long
sure.
Day.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ephraim.
Well, with a divided nation and a polarized election, many are concerned about the possible unrest that could happen on this day. But as CBN national security correspondent Eric Phillips tells us, there are a few actions that could derail any violence.
It doesn't take much to recognize that there is extreme unrest in our country right now. COVID-19, racial unrest, government opposition. The nation is divided along so many fault lines, and inserted in the middle of it is a major contentious presidential election.
Anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as President of the United States of America.
Proud Boys, stand back and stand by.
Authorities say even when there's no obvious activity, factions are simmering beneath the surface.
Within the racially and ethnically motivated violent extremists, I would say the biggest chunk of those, I can't give you a percentage, but the biggest chunk of that are individuals who are motivated by some form of white supremacist ideology.
The Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project tracks conflicts all over the world, including white supremacist groups in the U.S. Their research follows 9 major ones, ranking them in violence potential from low to very high.
Any person of faith or decency should be able to say there's no place for white supremacy in the United States, period. And when the President of the United States has trouble saying that, we have a problem.
On the left, the group Shut Down DC has posted a plan entitled Stopping the Coup, the Disruption Guide for 2020. It details shutting down the country and forcing President Trump from power if the presidential election is too close to call. So how will this dangerous cocktail play out after Election Day? Already, crews in Washington have been boarding up buildings in anticipation of potential disruption. On Friday, a group of Trump supporters surrounded a Biden campaign bus in Texas, leading nervous Biden staffers to cancel an event. To that, the president tweeted, "I love Texas." Then on Sunday, a car caravan dubbed a Trump train rolled through Richmond, Virginia, clashing with opposing protesters at the Robert E. Lee Monument. Lawyer and political commentator Van Jones says quelling post-election violence could boil down to one simple concession speech on either side.
That concession speech helps the tens of millions of people who voted for that person to accept the outcome.
Pastor Rick McDaniel notes the potential lag time between Election Day and official results could foster unrest.
We have to pray for God's will, even if it may be different than what our will is or what we want.
Coming up, we're going to take a look at persecution in Iran and show you how a pastor is fighting there for his faith. You're watching CBN NewsWatch. Stay with us.
Want to be a part of a community that inspires your spiritual growth while winning prizes? The all-new MyCBN app. Connect with the community for prayer and encouragement. Track and set spiritual goals. Enjoy conversation starters with friends and family. And collect points to win prizes. The all-new MyCBN app. A great place to belong. Download the app at cbn.com/mobile. Grow, connect, have fun. The all-new MyCBN app.
On the home front.
Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. CBN honors the men and women in our military with an initiative called Helping the Home Front. It partners with churches across the country to meet the needs of their military families, from repairing homes to wiping out medical bills for wounded veterans.
Watch On the Home Front today at 2:30.
Too often, we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
CBN News presents an election night special with live coverage starting at 7 p.m. Get updates on the campaigns, plus analysis on the shifting balance of power. Watch on the CBN News Channel or on the CBN News app.
A 43-year-old house church pastor in Iran is behind bars serving a 6-year prison sentence. Iranian authorities are accusing Yusuf Nadarkhani of propagating house churches and promoting Zionist Christianity. CBN News discussed his case with a member of the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom.
Nadine Bienza, thank you so much for coming on the show. Tell us about the case of Pastor Yusuf Nadarkhani.
Sure. So Pastor Yusuf Nadarkhani is a prisoner of conscience that I've adopted as a commissioner on the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom. Just over 2 years ago, in July of 2018, armed men came to Iranian Pastor Nadarkhani's home in the middle of the night, beat him, tasered his 14-year-old son, and then hauled him off to jail, where he remains today. He's currently in one of the most notorious prisons in the world, the Evin prison in Tehran, simply for following his faith. So he's been arrested and tried on charges of promoting Zionist Christianity and acting against national security, really for being a pastor of a church. That he was convicted, although he's been appealing that since 2016. So he is a pastor of a home church of about 400 people. He was born into a non-religious Muslim family, but became a Christian at age 19. As in most countries in the Middle East, or all really, you're not allowed to change your religion if you're a Muslim. But most aren't quite as severe as Iran, where the punishment is extremely severe. And he was actually earlier sentenced to death in 2010, and then because of the outcry against that sentence, he had ended up being released for time served in 2012. So the Iranian government has gone after him quite a bit simply because of his faith.
Yeah, there is some concern about his health condition. Tell us what's the latest.
Sure. Well, in September, he went on a hunger strike after the government denied both of his sons, Daniel and Yoel, permission to advance their education because they had opted out of a Muslim religion classes, which you can do according to their constitution. But of course, it came at a cost. And so we knew he was weakened by that. We're concerned, of course, there's COVID in the prison. And there's been a lot of news that a lot of the prisoners have been released or furloughed because of the pandemic. Pastor Nadakani was not one of those. So he's still in prison. He has an additional 10 years to serve. So we're concerned about his health, and we would ask the government to release him and hope that the U.S. government would would ask for his release, I should say.
Iran, as you know, is one of the most dangerous places in the world for Christians and other religious minorities, including gays and lesbians. Tell us, what are the challenges they face?
Yes, so they're really targeted because of their faith. I mean, we see this with Christians, as you mentioned, Jews, Baha'i, Sufis, Sunnis. They're very vulnerable in many different ways. The government uses a lot of different laws to go after them. And also, as you'd mentioned with the LGBT community, they use religion to go after them and having a lot of executions, jailing women, targeting atheists. So they go after people of faith, and then they use religion laws to go after other people as well in order, to really target everyone who really isn't a Shia Muslim. And for that reason, the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom has recommended that Iran be a country of particular concern since 2002. It has among the worst religious freedom conditions in the world. Systematic, ongoing, and egregious violations. Those are the three words that you really have to meet to be a country of particular concern, and they certainly do that.
A survey came out just earlier this summer showing that, in fact, many Iranians are turning their back on religion, specifically the state institutional religion, in this case, Islam, right?
Right. And we're seeing that in places like Saudi Arabia as well, where when people are forced to follow a faith, you'll see the population not embrace it as holistic and when it's not a choice they got to make. So certainly that's what we're seeing in Iran as well.
Okay, terrific. Nadine, as always, thank you so much for coming on the broadcast.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
A comedian is taking on cancel culture. We're going to show you how. Coming up, stay with us.
Are you suffering from feeling tired or worn out during the day? Can you not turn off your brain at night? You are not alone. Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Bruce, the sleep doctor, and I've partnered with the Christian Broadcasting Network, and we're going to bring you some unbelievable information that you can use tonight to get a better night's rest.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free copy of Protect Your Sleep today.
Nutrition, exercise, essential oils, weight loss, and more. It's Healthy Living with Lori Johnson.
Talk about what's in this.
Join CBN health reporter Lori Johnson to get the latest information from today's top health experts.
This is fantastic.
Find out what you need to know to live a healthier life. Watch Healthy Living, Tuesday night at 9:30.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
Millsburg Falls man.
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes, too. And so much more! Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
And welcome back to CBN News Watch. On this election day, we continue to cover the growing push to wipe out free speech in America. In this latest chapter, comedian Adam Carolla is determined to put an end to that cancel culture. He has an unlikely partner now in this crusade, and they've produced a compelling film. Want to check in with CBN News' Charlene Aaron for this story.
In the film No Safe Spaces, comedian and top podcaster Adam Carolla shares the screen with conservative talk radio host Dennis Prager. The men explore threats to the First Amendment and freedom of thought in America, something Carolla says the mainstream media refuses to admit.
you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say will be used against you.
First and foremost, we wanted to make it an entertaining film, and that it is. But it has a lot of perspective from both sides of the aisle and some pretty interesting stories that maybe the news didn't exactly fully cover.
Carolla admits that while he and Prager come from different backgrounds, they share the same passion about fighting the political correct culture's aim to squash speech they don't like.
I like people's values, and when I have a value that I share with somebody, then I'm immediately attracted to them, even though in Dennis Prager's particular case, we could not be further apart on paper in terms of how we grew up. He was an East Coast guy and I was a West Coast guy, and we just couldn't be further apart except for the part where we have the exact same values.
No Safe Spaces, now available on DVD and streaming, became 2019's top-grossing political documentary after showcasing the erosion of First Amendment rights.
You are not listening. I want your job to be taken from you.
A protest has turned violent in California, Berkeley.
This is why we're fighting for the soul of America.
Carolla also points out how this generation has been trained to hate alternative options, despise debates, and unleash anger on any opposing views.
Our free speech used to be, if you don't like something that your congressman is doing or saying, or the principal of the school or the police captain, then we're allowed to speak up and voice our disagreement. And that was kind of what free speech was based on. That part of free speech has not only not been altered or changed, it's been turbocharged.
He says the purpose of free speech isn't about stifling voices, including those with whom you disagree.
The part that we didn't understand about the free speech is comedians making jokes, professors sticking to their guns, parents saying, I don't want this subject brought up in school. We didn't know those people were going to be shut down. We put it in place so we could speak our truth to power, not so we could get folks fired from their jobs.
The documentary also features backlash faced by comedians such as Tim Allen and Kevin Hart for comments seen as crossing free speech boundaries.
Kevin Hart has stepped down from hosting this year's Oscars.
Anything you say that we don't like will be used to shut you up.
Hart's decision came after liberal outrage over old tweets that included comments on homosexuality. Carolla sees his job as making people laugh, even if it makes some mad in the process.
I have one truth. It's the truth as I know it, and that's what I'm going to say, because at the end of the day, I'm a comedian. Why would I get into comedy to figure out what people want to hear? That sounds like the opposite of comedy. How about I say what I want to say?
He calls the film an eye-opener for all Americans.
I think it's the kind of thing that's important to watch with your kids as well. You know, you got probably 11 and up or something like that, but it's a good thing to know. You can agree with all of it. You can disagree with some of it or most of it. It doesn't really matter. You should still be exposed to it.
Meanwhile, Carolla says he is not afraid of speaking his mind and urges others to not be afraid about speaking out for what they believe.
Their power is your fear. And they don't have any actual power. Their power is you're scared of them. Once you speak up and you stay the course, they leave you alone. There's nothing they can do. They have no dominion over you. The dominion they hold over you is your own personal fear.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
There are Christians in both major political parties and campaigns, and they're sharing their reason for their choice for president. They're also speaking out about the current political environment. It's all part of a series of articles posted by Dr. Ed Stetzer of the Billy Graham Center at Wheaton College. Those writings have generated some thoughtful and sometimes heated discussions among believers. Stetzer tells CBN's The Prayer Link, while Election Day is important, what is more important are the days ahead and how the church's actions will be vital in bringing unity to the country.
We already know that people of different races and ethnicity have a tendency to vote in different directions. Well, we're all in the same body of Christ. What's it going to look like as we walk together as followers of Jesus tomorrow? You know, there's going to be a day after, and the Church of Jesus Christ is more important and transcends political differences, transcends even national borders. And so what does it look like for us to really deeply be concerned? I voted. I'm deeply concerned about where we're going as a nation. And after this is all said and done, we need the Church of Jesus Christ to come together, stay together, be on mission together to show and share the love of Jesus.
And you can see the entire interview with Dr. Ed Stetzer and more this evening on the prayer link. It begins at 6:30 Eastern on the CBN News Channel. And for a final thought on that, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Christians around the world are standing with the Israelis. But why? In CBN's free magazine, Friends of Israel, you'll discover why Christians are supporting the Jewish state, how Israel is fulfilling prophecy as a light to the nations, and ways you can pray for the people of Israel. Israel needs the support of friends like you. Call now or go to cbn.com to get your free copy of Friends of Israel.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible,
yes,
Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link, Tuesday nights at 6:30.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Get Protect Your Sleep and live your best life with innovative information from 5 leading sleep experts.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
Discover a sleep-enhancing bedtime routine, how to put insomnia to rest, learn how to relieve pain that disturbs sleep, and much more in Protect Your Sleep.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Don't miss out on this brand new series.
Welcome back to CBN NewsWatch. Superbook has launched a home program in Myanmar. COVID-19 keeps churches from gathering together, and that prevents Superbook from distributing its Sunday school curriculum. So a weekly digital program is on Facebook and YouTube featuring Superbook episodes along with Bible lessons that encourage parents to grow and train their children. Each episode includes a challenge for the children to complete, which is then featured on the Facebook page. And finally, this half hour, Tuesday, tweetable for you to post, tag, and share on this election day. Be sure to make time to vote, but remember this, God is not a Democrat or a Republican, and he doesn't ever come to take sides. He comes to take over. And at the start and end of every day, it is the kingdom that matters above all countries. With that word, make this a terrific Tuesday. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. I want to remind you, you can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel at any time. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here, today, or any day. You can email us at the address right there at the bottom of your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can always reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope you will make today, Election Day, a terrific Tuesday, and join us right back here come tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody, and God bless.